I am with the wonderful Patty Krauss. I'm so excited to hear about your spiritual journey, your new practice that you're developing, and I would love to learn more about Qigong. So why don't we start with introducing your practice? What have you built?
Well, it's still in its infancy in terms of how to get it out there to the larger world. You know, we came out of a pandemic and we're still experiencing the fallout from that. And people say, oh, it's over and I don't have to wear a mask anymore and all that. But what happened? Everybody around the world was sick, or maybe someone they loved died, or they were isolated and they began to have, other kinds of emotional, psychological, mental repercussions from that. And kids weren't in school. And, we know that. We know what happened, but the research findings are coming out. And we still have some huge healing to do. So I found Qigong. And I was a dancer and I was always a mover and a swimmer. And so I was looking for something. I had kind of moved away from yoga, not completely ever, but it wasn't serving me. It's a movement practice or modality. So I found my teacher. I studied mostly with Lee Holton from Santa Cruz.
Okay.
He's quite well known. He's magnificent, knowledgeable, learned from great 20th century masters. And what I love about Qigong, first of all, Qi means life force energy, and Gong is a way we work with it.
Yeah.
And it's about healing. It's about where are you in the moment? What's going on that you need to move your Qi instead of letting it stagnate, storing stuff. So, and it really, really, really works. 4,000 years old. They have been, traditional Chinese medicine umbrella is Qigong, Tai Chi, acupuncture, acupressure, which I'll talk a little bit about, self-massage, herbs massage, so that's the TCM. And I was just really drawn to it because it's dance-like. It really very quickly, he calls it the art of effortless flow. I'm a person who, I'm going to get this done. And I kind of have that personality thing, but I also live in a world that's like that, goal-oriented Americans. And I want to just, here I am, I'm isolated anyway, let me see what I can learn. And I got so into it and found such benefit that I thought, well, I studied, went on retreat with him. I began to think it was something I could do as a practice and as a way to make a living and be of benefit. And then I bring in 30 years of Buddhist meditation. So weaving it, Taoism and Buddhism are very sort of cross and go, it's kind of a different language. Buddha had a very, very logical mind and put everything down. And Qigong is like that too. You find certain flows and are you working on a body thing? Are you looking at the elements? Are you bringing those two together? I'm not saying, but in a way, my Buddhist practice involved a lot of study, and which you combine, you marry with your actual meditation practice. It's very practical. It's very relevant. So I do some of that, and also I bring in the creativity piece, which is still a work in progress. It's just there, and it's spacious, and to me, it's sacred, and it's just a companion to your spiritual practice, that enlightened energy, you could say. So yeah, I mean, I'm just beginning, really. So
I
won't say.
No, this is incredibly promising, incredibly exciting.
I'm excited. My folks that have come on board are excited. We just don't have to expend so much energy fixing things all the time. Go with the flow, but you really do have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to do it.
Literal.
Yeah, because we're not good at it. The Americans, I keep going back to that because we have a culture that's aggressive.
Yeah.
History of violence. We have a history of aggression. We have a history of a patriarchy. We got to bust loose. And I mean, we could go on talking about what's happening now, but it's just a condition of, I think the astrologers are saying is calm down because everything has its time, and Buddhists say impermanence. Nothing lasts. The only thing about life you can count on is change. But it's important that we dig in.
Yeah, okay.
Right now. I mean, that we really are healers, like you said, we were saying as I came in.
We're coming out of the woodwork. Here we are.
So it's not a luxury.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
What else you want?
So why don't we break down, you mentioned what chi is, but what does it mean to, like, I'm a brand new client, I'm working with Qigong for the first time. How do you really explain what this flow, what this energy is?
Well, it's a couple ways you can come at it. If someone comes in completely, they're open, but they just don't have any reference point.
Right.
For me, because this is how I came at it, actually, whatever aches and pains I had at the time, you give them something very practical to do. You know, just a little bit of flow or a practice. Or I will tell you about Qigong, something I learned that's just amazing is combining the breath and movement in order to shut this up for a while. You know, believe me, we have these amazing frontal lobes and executive functioning. However, we can't be a slave to it. This endless brain chatter and this mental, overly active mental. So Qigong is very quickly because it works on the neurological system. So if I'm breathing deeply, you know, therapists have known this for a long time. My brain automatically and sends it to my spinal cord, which is a brain in itself, and moves it out into the body. And we feel, like we will say, everybody knows what chi is. You can't look at it, you can't feel it, you can't, no, you can't taste it, you can't kind of you can feel it.
Yeah.
And when you feel good, you feel it. And when you feel shitty, when you feel bad, you know. And it's all comes back to the chi. Where is the chi in your body? How are you moving it? A conscious idea about what you want to do with it, a certain body part. For example, I just had shoulder surgery, and I had two things happen. I had a shoulder cuff tear. I had it done. I went in and took an X-ray, and it didn't take.
Okay.
So I had this psychological thing on a tab to do it over again, on top of, having to go back 2 weeks and heal. And I have been doing, the palms of the hands are very, very, very powerful, and the bottoms of the feet, powerful conduit portals where the chi comes in, and you can do it. And so I spent a lot of time, not touching, but just healing, going to that area, healing. So I would say, whoever's sitting in front of me, they have an issue. They have a problem. They have a question. And I tried this drug, like my neighbor. She got lots of problems with her neck, and they've got me on steroids. They've got me on this, and I'm just going, try this. You may not need any of that stuff. I'm not saying we don't. If you break your arm.
Yeah.
If you have cancer, and they can give you the medicine, the chemo, of course, but there's an awful lot of stuff we can do ourselves, and that's what this message is. So I think going right to the heart of what that individual, what's bothering you.
That freedom, liberation. It's not, I'm dependent upon a doctor. You are your own.
We are our best patient. We know our body. We know our history. We know our life. It's just exciting when it works. Oh my God, yes, I go to my acupuncturist, but I work with her.
Yeah.
I don't just, do something to me.
Yeah.
We work together on because, of course, that is also about moving your chi, and sometimes you need, a little bit more help. In fact, my Qigong master is also an acupuncturist. I'd love to get a treatment from him sometime. He's so present. You learn to be present and have that awareness. And so it works on your awareness. It works on your physical body. It works on your emotional body. It's really, and the healthcare systems around the country are jumping on it.
They are. I just got emotional. That's amazing.
Hopkins and University of Maryland and even GVMC, where I still do some chaplaincy work. I was a hospice chaplain. Sometimes I just went, I'm an artist. I'm going to go do this because my mother died in hospice, and it was really just so beautiful. And I'd had a lot of training in the contemplative arts of Buddhism and how to be with people when they were dying. So I work in this hospital system, and I'm bugging the chaplains. Let me come in and do Qigong with everybody, you know. So we're working on it because talk about stress.
Yeah.
Or healers. And East and West needs to work together. You know, Eastern spiritual and medicinal health. We need to work together.
I agree 100%. I'm pausing because I have not heard that sentence yet. And I feel that is a really important sentence to say, is that we need to work together.
He was a scientist and a mathematician. He said was the leader of Tibet, of kind of Tibetan Buddhist, the spiritual leader and the political leader. And then he stepped down as political leader.
Right.
At what's the word? When they left Tibet.
I'm thinking exile.
It is
okay.
the community in exile, which is in India. Dharamsala, but he is super interested in how to bring that together. So he has these summits, Mind Life Institute. So I'm I hats off to the Dalai Lama because he really is able to bring lots of very cool, interesting people who are top in their field to this notion of bringing it. It's exciting.
This is reimagining what the world is like, not just East versus West, but TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, versus the science that Johns Hopkins would have, or something like this. Is
the most innovative. Our medical research in this country, we're not the only ones. We have a phenomenal history of discovery. And one of the doctors I worked with when I was at the hospital, just what we were talking about, he said, in 50 years, they will have found cures for almost every kind of cancer. Like breast cancer and pancreatic, some of them are going to be far more challenging. But when I almost fell over when he told me that, I was like, yay! And so what else are we doing to,
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I'm dying curiosity because we're talking about science, we're talking about healing, we're talking about spirituality. You also have this talented artistic element of you. You and I, we shared a lot about your physical performance and your European clowning experience and stuff like that. With Qigong being as physical, can we just go into how you've been able to take the artist side and put it in with this healing world and this science world and spirituality? Okay, I love it.
It's just there, and what's cool, Tai Chi and Qigong are they maybe get a little bit mixed up. They're very similar, but Tai Chi is more kind of formal. It can also be a martial art. And I don't know all the different forms. There's lots. Qigong is like, what's the current situation and what is it? It's a healing modality. And so I'm a choreographer. I get to choreograph. I use the form, but then I get to sort of play around with it according to what's going on with my students and myself. So I don't know how it's all going to work out.
I think you just said it.
Maybe.
That sounds perfect.
I can't keep my mouth shut when I'm teaching, and I make jokes and kind of lighten them because it's like people who are really hurting, and we know that with the population we've worked with, people with disabilities. But humor and creativity and all those things that we kind of take for granted, but they're also incredible human experiences that make us feel good. That's what also my teacher says. Qigong master said, "How good can we feel today?"
I love that. Not how are we feeling, how good can we
feel? Okay, let's work on that. Let's go from that's the pinnacle, and we want to reach it as soon as we can. So get this out of the way.
Yeah.
Right? Get ourselves out of the way so we can have the best experience. It's
Patty, this is amazing. This is
4,000 years. I'm just like coming along, going, whoa, who, me?
there's this assumption with the spiritual works of a reverence, of a respect, of that like it's almost I don't want to throw out the giant ch word, but it feels like that like Christianity, like everything must be revered, and you're bringing up humor and joy and play.
I mean, it's tied to Chardin. This isn't like, it's a quote. I can't say the guy's name, but I can write it down for you. This is like a philosopher, and a clergy person. We are not human beings in search of a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Think about that. The only so-called organized religion that I know of, and I'm not saying I know them all because Sufism is quite fascinating to me, but Buddhism, they get that. They get that. And I was drawn to that. You can rewrite the scriptures if you want. Find out for yourself. I just found out what I found out and I'm sharing it. And that's the thing. I'm not talking down to you.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you commandments. So, yeah.
I'm already just feeling joy and excitement about working with you. I feel like in a space, like I would love to encourage clients of just having that healer client relationship where it's just human helping human.
More of a, it's transactional. And I think people are starting to get this idea that yes, you have to pay the rent, you have to eat. What will the market bear, and where do you do a barter or an exchange so that it flows? Because it's energy. Money's energy. I mean, that wasn't me either. Think about it. You're like, oh, no, I got to do this, and then suddenly, $500 shows up. And then it goes away.
Yep.
And you say, oh my God, my car broke down. But to not freak out and kind of trust
The energy.
which is to trust that you're part of the natural world.
That is big. That is big. I mean, the world is big, but like just
really just tapping into that. I mean, Buddhists talk about it differently in terms of space, emptiness, which is kind of not a great English word, but more like a fullness, and everything's in it. And that's how the Taoists looked at it. If I'm standing, I'm just doing a tree trunk. And I'm part of it. When I tapped into this, I pick up the phone. Gotta pick up the phone. No, and you can't pick up the phone if you're message. We don't do that. I did something real dumb the other day. I dropped my phone. I was walking in a park with a friend of mine. Now I'm traveling right now. I gotta have my phone. We're relying on that little bugger. And I didn't realize it for like an hour. My friend and I, we went to some antique shops and we went here and we were heading home. And I said, I can't find my phone. Look through the car. And I couldn't place where I might have. So we went back to the park. We bump into these two young women, synchronicity, who have babies and carriages. Mm-hmm. And we said hello, and I lost my phone. And if you see it, we're going to look around because we were over here by the animals and everywhere. And the one woman says, we lost a shoe, and the baby's got a little barefoot one shoe on. I went, okay. So then suddenly the one mother turns around and she says, there's your phone on the ground. Wow. We walk up out of the park, because I was elated, and we found the shoe. We got the baby shoe. I mean, some of that, but you have to be, like, I was not being aware when I dropped my phone. I should have put it in, blah, blah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And so we're not perfect, face it. We're going to have these lapses, but to get as much activity, whether it's your Qigong practice or, your healing practices or your creative, your writing, your, singing, your dance, whatever, to enhance that. You have to, right? When you're directing a play or you're acting, you're not relying on that. You're relying on it, but it's not the only thing, that cognition.
Exactly. It's taking that step back and seeing everything.
It all together. Yeah. And the cognition, we want that. Because we're human and we think, problem solving. We master of your mind, master of your mind, certain to it.
Right.
As soon as you begin to relax and you're happy and you're joyful and you're in your best, the best of who you are, funny thing happens. I want to share this.
Yes, yes.
It resonates.
100%.
And it's fun. I mean, what I'm doing is really fun. It's really fun to see people feel better and to help people,
I really do. And I would love to be able to hear more about. We talked earlier, and it seemed like a lot of your work, you're focusing around women, which makes sense. I just would love to be able to hear more about that journey and what led you down to focus on this specific demographic.
I think women are going to save the world, frankly. I have been a women's rights activist for years in different capacities. I had 5 brothers, so I went in search of sisters,
Wow.
female communities, and I have a really healthy, beautiful bunch of relationships with my artist friends, my Buddhist friends, women that I've been in spiritual community with, a lot of my colleagues, and the hospital, the chaplaincy work.
Mm.
And I think I'm just really fascinated by the female. You don't have to be a woman per se, but that is the body we live in. And this is my experience growing up in the 60s and the 70s. And I had to quit my first job because, I was getting hassled. It was at an IHOP. I was 16. I don't get to make my own money. And then I was like, So stuff like that, and not to go down any dark alleys, but really, really feel it's our time. And what I'm going to see in my lifetime, I don't know, but I certainly have a vested interest for my 4 nieces, for my friends, kids, the young women that I do know that I encounter and whatever.
And that's just emotional and beautiful, and this image of young girls rising up and just taking charge and yeah.
I like guys.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's in my
Appreciate the men today who are really starting to relax and be more open and vulnerable.
It is a skill that men of my generation need to learn. And I've been very blessed. I mean, Artstream alone, it's founded by 5 powerful, strong women, and they taught this emotional development. And so that alone is a gift. And there's so many male clients that need that emotional development.
And I do think that they're going to seek out a man often.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. And that's perfect because it's not something I, as a woman, can understand as deeply and fully, as a male.
You said earlier, they're coming out. They're coming out of the woodworks. Here we go.
Yeah, it's very heartening. I mean, we got to watch out for charlatans. The more present you are, the more kind of grounded you are, the more your antenna are up. You want the authenticity. It doesn't have to be perfect, or like you're asking questions. You say, I don't know.
It's probably one of the most authentic answers. And yeah. Awesome. Beautiful. So we've touched upon this, but it's a question that was introduced to me, and I love it, and I always want to keep asking everyone that I'm interviewing or a part of. How does your practice impact not only the independent client, but the world and the communities?
I mean, I kind of think that's it's a natural evolution. I'm thinking about doing different events, but it's like the concentric circles when you toss a pebble into the water, And I think whether it's my Dharma practice or the Qigong or just working with different communities or people that are struggling in a particular way, I'm just trying to not use jargon, but to say whether they are the dying with disabilities or, somebody that has some other kind of struggle. I think each person who comes to me, because it's all about transference and it's all about honoring your teacher and the transmission, because I think that's really important, is will naturally flow out. I think you don't have to hit people over the head.
No.
So I guess
That's beautiful. That was great. Yeah.
good question. A very good question.
I wish I could take credit for it. My teacher introduced it to me, and I need to honor her and carry it on. So.
Because right now, in particular, what we need to do, and you could be interested to hear what your teacher says, maybe we need to be a little bit more intentional. And I don't want to say like, come and tell you how to change your life or what to do, but there's an undercurrent of dark energy, you could say. I'm going to get into hocus pocus stuff, but we all know what we're experiencing right now, and it's global. It's not good because it doesn't come from a place of love and generosity and kindness. It comes from a place of cruelty, and we're not having it. And we have to really say that out loud. I think in my practice, in your practice, in other modalities, in long time traditions, or someone who's found a way to, do a nice alchemy of traditions. I don't believe in watering down stuff, but I believe in making it malleable. If it's malleable, and Qigong is certainly to be relevant to the time.
That was awesome. We're going to change the world.
We are.
I love it. Oh my God. Yeah.
I lay awake at night.
Yeah.
Hang on, deal with your own whatever you got. I was this morning about something with my friend, and I realized, she was a great person to bounce it off of because she wasn't going to go down that, how people are thing. But I could say what I needed to say, and she was like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not, the end of the world.
We need friends like that. We really do.
Myself with people like that.
Well, what's that phrase of find the people or surround yourself with the people that will make you the best or will make you that's it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm a new client. I've watched this video. I've heard you speak, and it's like, yes, I want to work with you. I want to Qigong with you. Where do I go? What's next?
Right now, we're on Zoom. We have a women's group called Elevate Women Warriors, and it's on Zoom every Wednesday at 8:00, almost every Wednesday, and just for a half an hour. And people, they get up and they have their coffee or their tea and they shake it out, and maybe the dog's there, the cat, or, but they try to find a kind of quiet space. And outside is really ideal. Like if one of my Sandy will be out on her deck. Then I have a full moon Zoom and live event I'm working on, and that for me, the moon does kind of represent for me a kind of feminine energy, female energy. It's not nothing. I had an experience a couple of months ago. It was a massive moon, and I don't always see it where I live. And it shows up in different places in the sky. And I was doing something, I was out on my porch, and I just went, whoa! And I went outside. It was a little chilly, but I went outside just to stand in it. Somebody, and I was riveted. And I don't, it happened. I don't make a big deal of it, but it was quite powerful. So we're working, and that's tricky because it comes at different times, different days, ideally being in that energy is the best. So we're kind of working on something. We've got this great little group of people, older women mostly, and a big oak tree and a good place to view the moon. So we're going to do some practice. Some of them have never done Qigong.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I would like to do more of that and do things in the country, in the natural world, like you see in China and in this country too, like in the morning that people do in Qigong in the park. In the park, you can hear a pin drop and you're just following the teacher. So whatever. Just to remind us that this is us too. All this is.
That speaks home to me.
So that's the work right now. Would love to love to have one-on-one coaching or group coaching. I say coaching. I'm not crazy about that word. A dear friend who's an executive coach, very successful, worked with women CEOs. She said, Patty, you need to call it experiential coaching. Sky Dancer experiential coaching, because I'm not trained to do trauma work. I'm not doing past lives or family stuff, or I respect all of it.
Yeah.
It's not my training. What is going on with you right now that I can accompany you on this journey? It may be short and it may be longer, and maybe you'll start Qigong classes and maybe you won't. And maybe I'll encourage you to write. You are a writer and you haven't done that for a while. Experiential, kind of in the moment, in what's relevant, and using these tools.
I'm sold.
So,
Yeah.
SkyDancerUnlimited.com.
We'll put the link down below.
But yeah, I'm really, really, and that then women can, it doesn't matter. I do have a place in my heart, of course, for women that are older like me. And I'll tell you, aging it's pretty daunting sometimes. I feel good. I'm going about my business, and then I'll go, man, that took me a while to heal from that or get over compared. It's hitting other people much harder than it's hitting me. And like, whoa, wait a minute. I was fine a couple of years ago. I was going out 5 miles, and now, so I'm sensitive to that.
What would you say to someone that came to you and expressed a similar struggle or fear or concern?
I would say come to one of the Zoom classes to start, familiarize yourself, come and join us, see what you think, if this resonates. We have a lovely group, they're very well supportive of each other. And so I suppose I right now would direct them there. Or, let's have a phone conversation or Zoom one-on-one, talk to me about it. So, I like them to see other people enjoying. We did the practice Wednesday morning, and I was creaky for some reason. I just was sore.
One of those days.
I had a 4-mile walk. I hadn't walked 4 miles in a really long time. That's what it was. It's like, okay. And after Qigong, I felt great. It's all like kind of the soreness went away, and my joints felt good. And I'm not kidding. I'm not like making it at all. And it's so quick. You don't want it so quick. I think, see if I can explain this the way he does. Because your brains are amazing. But they don't work. We're not like those big, alien heads. We are, the brain and the body work together. So you get this information in, send your information back down through your body. And so when you let that happen, stop being the director all the time and giving in to the thoughts, just thinking of everything under the sun. That's one of my teachers says. If you don't get into that, it's not that difficult. Now, you got to go baby steps. One of my friends does Qigong in a chair because she has rheumatoid arthritis and some amount of pain that, I don't, she doesn't complain much, but I can see that she's uncomfortable, but she doesn't. There's a lot you can do. You can still move your upper body in a lot of different ways, and it's about the spine.
Spine. Okay. Spine's your friend for this.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And when you're walking around like this and you're 50 years old, come and see me. Because we don't have to give in to that. How good can we feel?
How good can we feel? Oh my gosh. Well, I do want to do some Qigong with you. I think that would be a lot of fun. Creating.
Creativity. And then when I saw you were doing this, I was kind of like, this is a good fit. And I really enjoyed it. Thanks for letting me wax on,